The bond between mother and daughter is special, but it's especially so for one All-American family. Bound by their passion for basketball, while mom builds a program, her child is building a legacy. From one university to another, their relationship stays strong. Nicholls women's basketball head coach Dobee Plasiance and her daughter Theresa, a star forward for LSU and an SEC Player of the Year candidate, share a connection that revolves around more than just hoops.
I have a great relationship with my mom. She's like my best friend. I talk to her every single day, usually at night before I go to bed. And you know, my mom's always been there for me growing up, and she's always worked her hardest to try to give me and my brother the best life we could possibly have. As a kid, you know, sometimes she wasn't there because she was out like recruiting and stuff, but she never like once did we have a night that we went without a phone call from her or a text from her saying how much she loves us and all that.
I wouldn't consider us friends, and I don't consider us like she's afraid to approach me. It's whatever you want to call what's ever in the middle. It could be, I just think it's unique.
X's and O's are a small part of this relationship. To Dobee and Theresa, it's bigger than the game.
You know, my mom's a very hard worker. My mom does everything and anything she can to better herself and her program. So I think what I've taken from her is just to give it my all, because, you know, that's the only thing you can do and work your hardest. Because if you don't, then, you know, you never know how good you could possibly be. You never know the opportunities you may get.
They will not be remembered for the amount of points they scored in a game or how many accolades was thrown their way in terms of awards. They're going to be remembered for their character, they're going to be remembered for their values, and they're going to be remembered for the type of person that they were in terms of giving back to other people. And that's how I've always raised my kids. That's how I was raised. That, you know, it's about giving back. That if people can just realize there's so much, you feel so much in giving. You know, so much comes back to you when you give, and that's sort of how I've raised both my children. And Theresa is turning out to be, at this point, I mean, she's a young buck. She's just 20-something years old, so I have a few more years to go with her. But if she continues on this track, you know, I told her when I dropped her off at school at LSU, I said two things out of this whole journey. A, you're gonna leave this place with a degree, and B, you're going to go to church on Sundays. After that, everything else is lagniappe.
As a top recruit out of Vanderbilt High School in nearby Houma, Louisiana, Theresa received letters from universities across the nation, but was surprised when she didn't hear from a certain school.
Honestly, I didn't even get a letter from my mom. My mom didn't even send me a recruiting letter, so I was like, thanks, Mom. I'd go home and I was getting like letters from everybody else, and I was like, Mom, where's my Nicholls letter? And she was like, I didn't think you would pay attention to me. I was like, Mom, come on.
The type of interest she was receiving very early on, what I mean by that is by top 25 schools. I'm like, this kid. And what we decided early on, before we knew what her fate would be, that I have raised you to 18. And we felt at that point that it would be best for her to play for someone other than me, so hopefully they could reiterate not just the basketball piece, but the values, the high morals, the high characteristic. Let her hear from somebody else other than Mom, and that way it might resonate better with her. But we decided, and for me personally, being that I thought she would be a special player, I did not want any of her accolades to be perceived, oh, well, her mother's the coach. And so she got off to, you know, a slow start at LSU. And now, due to her hard work, but hard work with those coaches have invested in her, they believe in her, and I'll be forever grateful to those coaches, what they've brought out of Theresa. And now, she's coming into her own, and I am a very proud bystander. And it can't be said that, oh, it's because her mom's the coach. And that, to me, was the biggest piece. I would have loved to have coached her, and I think she would admit that she would love to have been coached by me, but at that point, she just needed to go out on her own.
While Nichols and LSU are just 70 miles apart, they haven't played each other since Theresa's freshman season at LSU 2 years ago. That is by design. Dobee doesn't want to face the prospect of coaching against her daughter again.
And the type of person that I am, whether I'm playing LSU, UConn, Notre Dame, or whoever it might be, I expect to win. And we're going in there, guns a-blazing, trying to beat this team, okay? Reality sits in many times, okay? However, in preparing for that game, it was very uncomfortable because in the moment, we did everything we could to beat LSU on that occasion. As a mother, you never, ever want to see your children fail at anything. And the thought of having her in a scout, and this is what you have to do to shut down your child, it was too conflicting for me.
While hoop season is in full swing for the Colonels, the stars aligned just right last Thursday as Nichols had the night off, while the Lady Tigers hosted SEC rival Tennessee in a big matchup. While Dobee doesn't get to take in many of her daughter's games in person, Thursday was a night to escape from coaching mode and turn into mom.
Here I get to sit down and I can be a real fan, and it is more of a sentimental type thing out here. I don't get to see my kids play much, either one of them, even my little Scotty. But so when I do, I'm just grateful to be in the same building with them sometimes, because the majority of the times I'm not even in the same state as them,
With Theresa registering 8 points and 3 blocks by halftime, her mother took time in between cheers to break down her performance.
She's down there encouraging and talking to her players and doing a lot of instructing, and that means a lot to me, not only as a mother, but also as a coach, because every coach needs a great floor leader. And right now she's hitting her free throws. The only one she missed was the one that I jinxed her on. And she hasn't missed a block out, and I'm not sure if she's missed a defensive assignment, that she's 50% for the field, so overall the effort's good.
Ultimately, LSU suffered a devastating loss to the 12th-ranked Lady Vols. Despite a near double-double performance, Theresa, the SEC leading scorer, missed a late free throw in LSU's 2-point defeat. As she emerged from the locker room following the game, Theresa, heartbroken, knew where to turn.
It's always great to see Mom here, after a close loss like that. It's always nice to hear what she has to say afterwards. It's always positive and uplifting, so it's nice to have my mom here. She had to hang in there, and, games like that, there's nothing much you can do, so just hang in there and give my best next game.
And what else did I tell you?
You love me.
You can tell people that.
The relationship between this mother and daughter duo is like no other. Whether it's on the court or off, it's all love and basketball. It could be a while, though, before they catch up with each other again. Both Dobee and Theresa have full intentions of playing well into March. For Colonel Basketball Weekly, I'm Ashley Dufresne.